Good morning, everybody. Good morning, testimony. Can you hear me? Good morning, Miss Juliana. Good morning, Somia. Can you all hear me?
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning,
How was the night?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So I'll be moderating the session for today. I think our second mentee will not be joining us. So, as we all know, the topic for today's session is patent claims, design, and drafting. So we'll be having two mentors today, Miss Somia. You can see Miss Somia is in the meeting with us, and Rakesh Sharma. So we'll be awaiting we'll continue the meeting until Mr. Rakesh joins us. So quickly, before we start the program, I will be telling us what the program is all about for those that are joining us for the first time. JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals across Africa. Mentees are afforded opportunities to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. This program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. Some of the objectives of the program is to provide easy access, guidance, training, and resource materials for students and young professionals in Africa, to facilitate dialogue and network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation. And finally, to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for the mentees. So that's what JIIPCC is all about. And I will make some announcements before we move to the group's presentation and the comments from our mentors. So the first announcement for today is that the JIIPCC first quarter of the next session registration is currently ongoing for JIIPCC for intellectual property, AI, the energy industry, fintech, health tech and law, and of course, patents drafting. Another announcement is that there's a 30-minute private one-on-one session with your favorite mentor. The platform is available at JIIPCC. You can have a 30-minute one-on-one session with your favorite mentor. You can also register by clicking on the link bit.ly/JIIPCCPM, or you reach out to Ms. Juliana or Mr. Hussein to give you the link. And finally, our final announcement for today is that the JIIPCC get-together party is the registration is currently ongoing. We are all advised to register. There's a get-together in Abuja and there's a get-together in Lagos, Nigeria. We're all advised to register and attend. So quickly, I'll be reading out our mentor's profile for today. Our first mentor, Miss Somia Ushik. She has MSc in biotechnology from Terry University, New Delhi, and a registered patent attorney from Government of India. She holds 9 years of experience in the field of intellectual property rights. She specializes in handling projects related to patents, filing, searching, drafting, and prosecution in the topic related to various technical domains. Apart from that, she has handled various other projects like industrial design, copyright, trademark, filing, and prosecution. She has worked with various reputed law firms. Thank you very much for joining us today, Ms. Somia. We are very happy to have you join us on the discussion on our topic.
Thank you so much.
Which is patent claim, design, and drafting. So quickly, I'll be reading out a second mentor's profile before we jump into the presentation by our mentees. The profile of Mr. Rakesh Sharma. Rakesh, having been through and multi-phase career spanning nearly a decade in patent analysis, drafting, and prosecution from US and EP jurisdiction. He worked very closely with various engineering teams and supported their portfolio for ideas incubation to innovation management. Mr. Rakesh has excellent understanding of patent law, claim, interpretation, and drafting skills. As a seasoned professional, he is readily engaged with various end-to-end IP service at different levels and provides intellectual IP solutions, intelligent IP solutions for a better world. He loves drafting, with perspectives in mind. Furthermore, he has a strong bent of mind towards IP automation and has sound knowledge of various IP tools and techniques that can be used for either improving quality of IP or increasing the overall productivity. He is also an excellent mentor and possesses all the leadership qualities required for a successful IP professional. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Rakesh, from the first week till this week. We are always happy to have you here with us and learn a lot from your wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much for joining us. So I'll be calling on the first group, which is the only group for today that's prepared to do their PowerPoint presentation. Testimony, you can start your PowerPoint presentation right now. Testimony.
The slide,
Are you
please.
there with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, the slide.
Okay,
please.
kindly. I don't know if you can start as I'm trying to open the slides for you.
The slide, please.
Yeah, you can just start your presentation. I'm trying to open the slides, so I think it's loading. But I'll be sharing it in a bit.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm privileged for the opportunity to be able to present my presentation on claim drafting. And thanks to Rakesh and I can't remember the next person. Rakesh, I can remember for you. And the JIIPCC mentorship for business opportunity. Over the past 3 weeks, I've learned advance my knowledge in patent drafting world, and I feel the position today I will to get more perhaps clarifications on what to improve on my understanding about patent drafting. So my topic today is claim drafting, and essentially claims are what you draft up and to specify what exactly your patent is all about. I mean, it's telling people that, okay, this is the content, this is the border through which all the things I'm claiming about is placed in. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Claims are reviewed by the patent examiner who tells us, okay, this is involved in the claim, this is not involved in the claim. Do you have a particular aspect that covers this or something that doesn't cover this? So it's very clear that without you having a broad, yet at the same time specific claim, you might be falling into a fallacy of being unable to fully getting the idea of what you are passing across or what you are presenting. So, about who is a patent drafter, you must always make sure that your claims are not just specific but are broad at the same time, so that you not fall into loopholes or circumstances where somebody else might get into your thing and say that no, I actually crafted it and not you. Now that you understand meaning of claims, our claims can be written in different form, in independent form or dependent form. If claims are written in dependent form, that means it's to stand alone. It does not refer to any past or previous work. It does not incorporate any other claim that has happened before. It simply stands alone. But if a dependent claim, that means it's referring to a past claim that has been made, whether in terms of an additional element, whether in terms of a limitation, whatever form it is, it's just depending on something that has been before. So it's depending on something. That's how claims are made, either in the dependent form or the dependent form. So in the next one, we also have the three. Could I get the next slide, please? So there are three simple rules for patent drafting. Three simple rules. It's each patent has the preamble, the transition, and the ending. The preamble is kind of like the introduction, telling you what is involved inside the patent. The overview, the abstract, the main point, the scope of what the abstract involved. However, at this point, the patent drafter should not make the mistake of trying to be specific to an extent. Specificity is a good thing, is a good virtue, but to ensure that while using certain words or language, to ensure it's all encompassing, involving enough points that whoever is listening to you will have an understanding of what it is. Not only that, the general one is that the principle of claim does not limit the scope of the claim. At all points, you should have a specificity about what you are passing across. After dealing with the preamble, we also have the transition. The most important transition are comprising and consisting of. In the website, research about it, I realized that most patent drafters are advised to use comprising. Comprising is because they want it to be far more common. They want it to be able to involve more things, and not limited to certain elements. Why some others use consisting of. Consisting of is also a good idea if what you are talking about is in terms of chemical, biotech, pharmaceutical, and stuff like that in technology, where you might not know how predictable it is. But if it's for something mechanical, comprising is a very, very good word you could use. Now we have talked about preamble, we have talked about transition. The third part is limitation. What are the limitations to your claim? What are the parts that somebody should note could be the problems of your claim, or those that are not part of your claim? Immediately I've said that finish, you are done with claims. Can I get next slide, please? And so, whenever you are drafting a claim, whenever you are with, ensure you have a professional person who drafts the claim, because you can always stand the test of time that way, and it can always stand the test of prosecution. If not, if your claim is wobbly or too specific, you can always find people who will find it opportunity to look for loopholes and try to take away your intellectual property or patents. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Testimony, that brief presentation about the claims in patent drafting. So I'll quickly be calling on our first mentor today to give us more insights on our topic for today, and also comment on the presentation and any other recommendation she has for us. So Ms. Sonia, please, you can unmute yourself and also put on your videos. Thank you very much. Ms. Sonia, please, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Hello. I think your network is kind of confusing. I don't know if I'm the only person, but I can barely hear her. Her voice is like breaking.
No, I can't also hear her. Her network is not really good.
Okay, Ms. Sonia, please kindly log out and maybe log back in, or maybe switch your network so that we can hear you clearly. Okay, yeah, okay. I think the problem is from everyone. So I'll call on Rakesh. Rakesh, you can start now. So maybe after you are done, then Ms. Sonia will also make her comments. Rakesh, Mr. Rakesh.
Thanks, Hussein, for giving me this opportunity, and I would like to thank this JIIPCC and Juliana for this opportunity. And before starting, I would like to say thanks to Testimony also for giving this wonderful presentation, for touching upon all the points related to patent drafting, especially the patent claims. So whatever he has discussed, we will discuss all these pointers, but some in like more details. I am sharing my screen. Just let me know once
Yes,
you are able to.
you can see your screen.
Okay. So far, like we have discussed about only these pointers in our previous sessions. I guess it is not responding. Okay, there is a lag. So far in this drafting program, we have covered all these different pointers about the like introduction, necessity of patents, like business requirements, and what does a patent application mean, its anatomy. And now we are touching the most important part of a patent application. We call it a patent claims, which comes under the bracket of application drafting, which examiner reviews. And these are the like claims which play a very crucial role in multiple ways, like whether we are protecting our idea or we are trying to sue someone for generating royalty or during the licensing agreements. So patent claims are, I would say, the most important part of a patent application. So we will be talking about in our today's session about the like different claim types and what are the potential traps and what are best practices which we should incorporate while drafting the patent claims. So talking about, as Testimony has already discussed about the like patent claims, what is patentable and how a patent claim reads, their format and parts of claim. I will be touching upon all these points quickly about the independent and dependent claims with example, and then we will move on to one or two case studies, or I will try to give some examples so that you can understand it very clearly or easily. So like the types of claims we had discussed in our earlier session, what is patentable and what is not patentable. So it is exactly relatable to those. So based on the patentability types, like what is patentable by the law. So there are like multiple types of claims, like an apparatus claim or a method or a process or composition. Suppose you have invented some new machine, so you can go for the apparatus. Suppose a computer is there, a processor, memory, or bus, anything. Or method is for some new process, or so now. So I would say some new type of a method of manufacturing, or method of making, or method of using. So if something is new, you can go for the method claims. But the same is the process claim. Suppose method of manufacturing the mobile phone or method of manufacturing the shoes. If your method is unique, which is profitable to you, you can go after the method or process claim. So that's the same is the concept with the another last category is composition, which primarily relates to the pharma or chemical industry. Apart from these, there are other multiple types of claims like the system claims, computer implemented, where like we are just talking about the software embedded in some kind of memory. These are like different, very specific types of claims. I am just touching upon these, but not discussing in detail because these needed some different or separate session for Marcus, Jepson, or means plus function language. So I'm just giving you an overview, like claims could be categorized into all these different sections. Like these are all the categories of claims, either based on the type of or nature of the invention or nature of the product or protection you are going for. So very simply, if I have to explain, so a patent claim is only consist of one single sentence, which is grammatically correct. So in patent claim, there are essential three elements which I have color coded for your reference. The first one is a preamble. In this case, it is a writing apparatus separated by a comma. Then comprising, we call it a transition phrase. As Testimony said about the comprising and consisting, there are multiple transitional phrases, and in which case what type of transitional phrase would be best fit, we must have to be judicious about this. I will discuss by one example. And now these are the limitations. In US, we call these claim elements, and in Europe, we call these claim limitations. The more these limitations would be, the narrower the scope of the claim would be. The less limitations are there, the broader the scope would be. In simple terms, we simply say the less is more. The less we will speak here, the more broader interpretation we can get. So this is just a basic skeleton of a patent claim. If I'm writing referring to this example 2, this is an apparatus for holding item. So an apparatus for holding item is a preamble. It gives us field of invention where and in which field it is related to. Comprising means what all limitations it is having, and in addition to these three limitations like legs, screws and top, it could have multiple additional limitations as well. So I guess the format of claiming would be clear. And in simple terms, if I would say this, the model structure of a claim always remains like a preamble, then transitional phrase, and then the elements separated by either semicolon or comma. And the last one, last limitation is separated, I would say, is completed by a period. So this is a basic structure of a claim which every jurisdiction follows. I am not saying about only one specific jurisdiction, but this is universal. If you go for the PCT application or any application, either Europe, China, Japan, US, Africa, India, this is the format every jurisdiction accepts. So this is a practical example of this template model: an apparatus, preamble, then transitional phrase, and then limitations. So every time it remains same. Now, what are the, like I would say, preamble consists of, it could be narrow or broad. We must have to think from our own invention's perspective. Transition phase also could be narrow, broad, and the body of claim also could impact the broadness or narrowness of the invention. So one by one, we can talk about these three. So preamble, if we are simply writing an apparatus, suppose we are having some kind of utensil like a pressure cooker is there. So if I'm writing an apparatus for cooking rice, so my apparatus would always be restricted to rice. If I'm cooking something else in that apparatus, it would fall outside my protection area. So I cannot, like that particular infringer would not fall into my scope, and I cannot generate royalty or I cannot stop them from using it because my invention is too narrow. And if I'm simply writing a method for making tea, if I'm simply writing a method for making beverages, it could be broad. And simply we can write an apparatus or a method without telling about these additional limitations. It's up to us how we want to draft the claims and how broad and narrow we want it to be. The same is the concern with the transitional phrases. There are essentially two transitional phrases like comprising and consisting of. I will give you an example from there. For transitional phrases like comprises and consisting of, there is very minute difference. We can say comprising is always an open-ended. Open-ended means some additional elements or additional limitations can be added to that claim. But consisting means it may not include any additional unnamed elements. For example, there is a therapeutic composition consisting of these elements. So it will always have only these. It cannot include any additional limitations. But if I'm writing comprising, then if it is having a protein sequence of these elements, then it could have, in addition to these two, it could be an additional elements could be there in this particular claim. So this is the major difference. This is consisting is a closed-ended transitional phrases and comprising is an open-ended transitional phrase. And in addition to consisting and comprising, there are other transitional phrases like characterized by, consisting of, and contains. So these are all I have categorized, like these are interpreted as closed-ended, and comprising transitional phrases are interpreted as open-ended. So after talking about preamble and then transitional phrase, we will move quickly to body of the invention. So independent and dependent claim. Independent is which will show you the broader picture, and dependent claims are those which will either demonstrate or provide additional limitations for those independent claims, or some further additional information of the elements described in the independent claim. Let me give you an example. Suppose this is a claim for a writing apparatus. So it is like written very broadly: an apparatus comprising a pencil and an eraser attached to the pencil. So this is very simple claim. It is having an apparatus, uh, pencil with eraser. So the dependent claim reads, further comprising a light attached to the pencil. So this could be treated as a dependent. And for reference point, I have taken these examples from Whiteboard Drafting Manual. You can also go through all these examples and you can check your own all these different examples. So in this way, uh, now it is only having a pencil with eraser, and this dependent claim is saying it is having a light also attached to the pencil. And if somebody during prosecution moves this limitation to independent claim 1, it will become an apparatus with pencil, eraser, and light. But right now it is broad. So it is up to the applicant whether he want to go with this only, or he want to add additional limitations now or at a later stage. So it totally depends on the decision of applicant, and it also depends on the decision of the business. These are like, as testimony has mentioned, we are defining the scope in terms of like fencing for any house we are purchasing. So in actually, suppose it is having area, how much area is on paper would be actual area we are entitled for or we are owning. In the same way, our invention is some super, I would say, very brilliant. Having our idea is very brilliant. We are launching a product which is also very brilliant and having very market value. But on paper, in terms of patent claims, it is having very narrow scope. So on paper, what it is applicable everywhere, no matter whatever idea you are having in your mind or whatever you are developing in your research. So always be judicious about this thing. Whatever you are planning or you are owning in reality, it should get reflected exactly on paper as well. So I am relating it with, for analogy, with the property, because everybody owns some kind of property at some phase of their life. Either they are getting from their parents or they are purchasing their own. So nobody wants to purchase or own a property having like actual area more, but on paper it is less. So in the same way, while having your idea, if you are going for a patent, so nobody wants to have more feature in actual product but less feature in the patent, and especially in the patent claims. So always remain judicious about these loopholes. Maximum time, many engineering people commit this mistake, and this becomes very fatal or irreparable at a later stage. So these are, I would say, traps I have mentioned earlier. Like, always try to understand what is on paper and what is actually you are developing. There should be a correlation in two. And if there is a gap, you must have to rectify it immediately. Once that patent gets granted, you cannot do that, or you cannot make amendments afterwards. And in terms of like to avoid all those gaps, what one can do, we must have to understand the linking words or phrases. For example, I have given this one for claim an apparatus comprising pencil and eraser attached to the pencil. But I haven't mentioned like eraser is attached to one end of the pencil, or in between it is, or at the first end of the pencil, because pencil is having two ends. So at which end pencil is like eraser is attached to pencil, it is not clear from there. And if talking about this dependent claim also, light is also attached to the pencil, but where it is attached, it is not clear. If it is attached in between or at the top, or at the top of the eraser, or eraser is at the top of pencil, it is not clear from these claims. So linking of words or phrases should be there. Parts we are mentioning, all the limitations should not be floating, as in this example. Another trap is the functional language. If we are using any kind of functional language, suppose a device used for processing, or a device something doing for something, so functional language should be supported by a specific hardware element. It should not be a black box. We are saying I am using a unit for compressing the data. I must have to mention I am using some kind of processor or some kind of algorithm which is compressing the data in this way. If I'm writing claim in that much specificity, it would be allowable. Otherwise, examiner will reject it because we are using either unclear or vague terms. Unclear or vague, these are, we call it indefiniteness or ambiguous terms. Just like in our real life, I guess maximum people used to follow GPS instructions. So GPS always gives us very clear or concrete instructions and never gives us the ambiguous instructions. Suppose we are following the GPS or following something or some target on map, it will always give us concrete instructions like turn left, take a turn left after 500 meters. So it will never say turn this side or turn that side, because this or that side will always be a relatable, or I would say ambiguous. Because if I'm saying turn this side, nobody could interpret whether I'm saying about the left side or right side. So these are, we call it vague or indefinite terms. So try to avoid all these vague or ambiguous limitations in claims, then the claims would be granted much earlier. There would be less rejections. So these are, I would say, best practices for uh, adopting or drafting the patent claims. So procedural trips, we call it like title, the apparatus or parts, what it is, just try to mention it in the preamble part itself. And for all the key parts or subparts, like elements I am mentioning about pencil, eraser, and light, all the key parts, there should be, these should be described in the specification first of all, and there should be some kind of linking between different elements or sub elements, like how different elements are interconnected with each other, because that is something new you are trying to get patent for. Otherwise, I would recommend you to watch a movie, Clash of a Genius, and especially the last 15 minutes arguments that inventor has given for defending his own patents. If you are not mentioning any of the interconnectivity between these different components, it would be equated as everything existed or earlier, because you have invented some electronic gadget, because all electronic gadgets are having some kind of semiconductor, transistors, resistors, amplifiers. So it is only the combination, unique connection between these resistor, inductor, capacitor, or transistors which makes different devices. Like for talking about only in electronics, I'm giving an example from electronics terms because I'm an electronics engineer. So it would be better to give generic example, but this is very simple to understand. Like by using only simple these basic electronic components, you can either make a rectifier which converts AC into DC, and by using the same electronic components, by shifting their relative arrangement, you can make amplifier as well. So the function of rectifier and amplifier is totally, I would say, opposite to each other in nature, but using the components and their interconnection makes the whole different. And this is the reason you can get the patent not only on those specific elements, but interconnection of those elements, and which comes out as a broader picture in terms of a circuit. We call it a circuit. So for all invention, be it the medical or manufacturing or chemical domain or any domain, not only the single components, do not go after the single components, but look at the broader picture, how, because all different components or all different elements are already discovered. Now what you are trying to do, you are just trying to make some kind of arrangement, adjustment, and that we call it some kind of inventive you did. So for inventiveness, look for the broader picture, try to emphasize more while drafting claims on the interconnection or interconnectivity or the relation between different components. If you are going for the apparatus claim, for method also, you must have to connect all the different steps. It should not be floating. Suppose you are mentioning a process for making tea, then all steps should be in a connection with the previous step. It should not be floated in between. So connection should always be there. I would again and again I will say simple thing. For process of making tea, if I'm saying like put water in a vessel, then switch on the gas and then pour some kind of sugar and tea leaves, and then pour milk into it. It is having a connection, like whatever next step is going on, it is dependent on the previous step. So this should be there. So parts and connection in an intentional order, because this is the only thing which you can get for the patent, be it a method claim, composition claim, or the apparatus claim. Always try to describe these in the specification as well, and in claims very clearly you have to mention it. Because if you are simply mentioning a pencil having, or an apparatus having a pencil, eraser, or a light, it is a broad claim, but it would get rejected because of unclear or vague terms, because examiner will ask you where all these components are connected and how these are like interconnected with each other, and how or what the final product will look like. So before they will ask you and you again pay additional fee during prosecution and make amendments, try to do all that exercise initially while drafting the patent application, so that additional time and efforts and money will get saved. So the same way, this is the last slide. So theory of a patent claim, this is just an example I'm giving you as an exercise also, but give you a broader hint also. So our invention is related to a red clay cup with a handle. So now you have to think what you are going to claim in independent claim and in the dependent claims. So it is your choice. Accordingly, you can go after like what are the broad and narrow claims would be. So if I'm simply claiming a cup in the independent claim, and I can say a cup, and I will pay attention on only the cup, and I'm not saying it is a cup, but I will try to use the broader language, as I have mentioned in our earlier sessions also. I won't call it a cup, but a container or a vessel. So never go directly with the concrete terms, but try to use as much abstract or broader terminology as I had, like we had discussed. For energy storage means we call it a spring, or for ball bearing we call it like a spherical balls arranged in a specific manner, or for any screw nail we call it a fastening mechanism. So try to think from the broader perspective. So I'm not asking or going after directly cup, but I will try to write it a container or a vessel for holding or for containing some fluid, and it will have a base and have some cylindrical structure, some kind of that specific features which are defining or explaining the structure of the independent claim. And in the dependent claims, I will simply say that container is of a red color, and then container is made up of either clay, and we can claim all those limitations in the dependent claims. And we can say it is having one handle also, or shape of the handle is also important, and how that handle is connected to the cup, this is also important. Because color, if it is very crucial, clay, if it is very crucial, try to mention it in the independent claim. But if these are just for the support, but additionally your cup is the only component which is playing very crucial role in the invention, then only go for that. So drafter or inventor or applicant. So drafter plays a very
Sorry, please, can we still hear Rakash?
No, I can't hear him from here. I don't know. Okay, I think we lost Mr. Rakesh. So we'll call on Sonia, but when Mr. Rakesh comes back, I think he will just conclude his presentation and comments. So, Ms. Sonia, I don't know if your network is stable now and if you can join us. Okay, Rakesh, I think Rakesh is back. So,
yeah, am I audible?
yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I was just concluding at that time. I was saying about to say that's all from my side. If you are having any questions or queries, you can reach out to me directly after this session. I would be happy to help you anytime. Thanks, everyone. Hussein, you are on mute.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for reminding me of that. So I was saying your presentation and your slides are always very rich, very educative and comprehensive. It always broaden our knowledge on any of the topics you are giving to handle. Thank you very much for always coming here to share your knowledge with us. So I'll be calling on our second mentor, Ms. Somia, to also give us her own perspective, experience, and also tell us more about patent claim and drafting. Thank you very much, Ms. Somia. Your voice is cracking, I think, but I think we can see your screen. The screen you're sharing.
Is the presentation visible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So today we are here to talk about claim drafting. So if we talk about what are patent claims specifically, the claims are the specific portions that are considered by the prosecution team in any jurisdiction to consider the invention details specifically, right? So if we talk about the claims, then the claims can be defined as the boundaries or the scope of the protection provided by a patent, right? So what does the patent protection exactly means? Patent protection is nothing but the invention that you have developed, it is protected, right? So the main thing that is considered in the patent are the claims, and the claims, they are exactly what your invention is, right? So the claims mark the boundaries of the protection. That is why they are saying that the claims mark the boundary of the protection, because the claims specifically define your invention or the novelty of your invention or the scope of your invention, right? So the claims are thus a written approximation of the abstract concept of created by the inventor. Abstract concept means that what invention is designed by the inventor specifically, that is considered in the claims, right? So while prosecution of the patent and if we talk about like when the patent will be granted, on the basis of the claims it is granted, right? So in the claims are the specific, or the, I can say the claims are the heart of the patent, right? On the basis of the claims, the controllers and the examiners, they examine your application, and then they decide that okay, your patents can be further considered for grant or not. Not only the claims, but yeah, this description is also important. We'll later see, but today we are talking only about claims. That's why I want to focus only on the claims, right? The claims clearly and concisely tell the world what the applicant claims as their invention. I already told you that claims are the heart and soul of the invention of the patent. So specifically the claim drafting or the writing of the claims is very important in terms of getting the patent granted, right? If we are submitting an application in the patent office, say for example, I have developed a device, right? Device, let us say like I have developed a mobile phone. A mobile phone might be having a camera, but what you did is you have invented a pop-up camera in that, right? So pop-up camera, what it does now that it provides very beneficial features to your invention. The earlier mobiles that were already there, they've been have like they have a developed feature now that is a pop-up camera. It reduces like it's if we talk about some, like the companies have already developed these kind of cameras, right? I'm just taking an example. So if we talk about the same example, like your main invention or novelty is in the pop-up camera, so you need to focus on the novel features to be written in the claims. So whenever you are drafting the claim, of course you will write like Mr. Rakesh has already given you some examples that what are the specific parts of the claims and what you need to provide. I'll also tell you about those in detail in the further lecture. But yeah, for specifically, if we talk about the example, then you need to mention what the novel features are in your independent claim, right? Independent claim is if there is any confusion, then of course you can yeah, personally you can connect with me to have a detailed discussion on that. But if we talk about in the broader sense, first of all, three things we need to consider about invention before we go for the patent drafting of it or the claim drafting of it for the patent, right? So an invention is a construct inside the mind of the inventor and has no physical substance. Of course, everybody knows that invention is the person thinks that, okay, I'll invent this, right? Yeah, ultimately you need to develop the prototype of that, or you work on that and you commercialize it, everything you do. But initial, what in the like in the first attempt, the invention is something which you think that, okay, this can be considered as an invention, right? Or you can develop it, and it is actually having providing an advantage over the other developed for see, if we take an example of the mobile phone also, recently so many features have been implemented and so many features have been modified over the time and with the technology, and different features have come up, right? So you need to take care, or you need to think that, okay, these are the previous things that already have been developed in the mobile industry, now I need to work on this. So this is the invention and everybody knows, right? Now we talk about the embodiment. See, these are the basic things that I'm considering before going directly jumping to the claim drafting part, because everybody doesn't know basic things in a patent, that is an embodiment. So what is an embodiment? An embodiment of an invention is a physical form of the invention in the real world, right? So if we say that, okay, I have developed a mobile phone and with a pop-up camera, right? This is my invention. But if I say the embodiment of it, then the embodiment of the invention means that the invention is actually working in that model. When you say that, okay, I have devised this model with a pop-up camera, then this goes as the embodiment. And if we just talk about, okay, I want to devise, or I have thought of like I'm thinking of designing a micro like phone with a pop-up camera, then that is, yes, you have come up with the invention, but specifically the embodiment is then when you actually take it down to the picture, right? The claims must protect at least an embodiment of the invention. See, first of all, claim drafting or the patent drafting is the ultimate thing that the controller or the examiner would read, right? He will not read your mind. Specifically, while drafting, like if you are drafting specification, if you are drafting claims, if you are drafting the title or anything of the patent, you need to keep in mind that this examiner who is going to read this doesn't know my invention. This is my like a tip for the day, that please consider while drafting your invention, please consider that, okay, the person who is gonna read my this in draft, he doesn't know what I am actually inventing, right? Or what I have actually developed. If you will keep this in mind and then draft your application, then you will completely mention all the details specifically, right? So these three things are just the basic ground work that you need to do, that you need to first of all define your what is your invention, what are you actually going to draft, what are you actually going to claim. Second thing, you need to have an embodiment of that, that okay, my invention would work in this manner if I developed a prototype of that. Okay, the application must contain one or more claims, like it can contain one or more claims. Define the matter for which protection is sought. That, like I already told you, that you should have a clear picture in your mind that this is the matter for which I need the protection, right? And this is my novelty. If we talk about the mobile phone with the pop-up camera, and nobody ever has developed that pop-up camera earlier, so your novelty point would be the pop-up camera, right? So you should protect that feature because that is your novel feature that you have developed, you have worked on that, and you have the prototype of that, and you will be like you want protection on the same feature, right? Be clear and concise. Clear and concise means that, yeah, like Houston just posted a question that, okay, can we draft, like, can we simplify this like complicated language? Of course, I understand. Like, it's very difficult to understand the claim language because it is nothing but just fumbling, like if we just juggle up the English words and the technical and legal aspects we mix in that, then we will give the clear claim language. But still, if you want to be more clearer, then you can mention your features of the invention specifically and the function. This is the only like the reply I already gave it to him, that you need to mention the features and the functioning of that. Plus, yes, few words are specifically there, like you need to keep in mind the antecedent basis for that. You need to keep in mind that what are like terms and tenses you need to use. Yeah, we'll take that forward. But if we talk about a very clear picture on that, first of all, you should have one thing in mind, that okay, I will take protection on this part of my invention, or this is my novelty, right? Second thing, you should be clear and concise while writing. Then third thing, be supported by the description. Three things you need to keep in mind: that you should be clear, you should define your invention before going for the patent filing, then be supported by the description. Your claims should always be supported by the description. Like whatever you are writing in the claims, many times people what they do is they draft the claims and they put their novelty part in the claims and they forget to write in the description. But you should cross check while drafting your complete specification or your provisional specification. Provisional specification might include claims, might not include claims. It depends on the jurisdiction and the scope of the invention also. But if we talk about the complete specification, yes, You need to define the claims, and you need to check that, okay, whether each and every point that I am mentioning in the claims are included in the description or not, right? So these three things are the key pointers that you need to consider before drafting your claims and after drafting your claims, right? So if we talk about like people like in EPO, European Patent Office recommends that the claims be drafted in terms of the technical features of the invention. Like I already told you that you need to define your technical features. Like yeah, the claims are of course written in a complicated language. I understand, and people many a times you don't understand if you are not experienced in reading the patents. So it is quite difficult. But yes, if you will just keep in mind, like my like what I do is personally, whenever I read a claim, whether it would be independent or dependent, first of all, of course, read the independent claim, then only you will be able to relate it to the dependent claim, right? So if we talk about the features of the independent claim, you just keep a copy or a paper or pen by your side and just keep on drawing. If it's a device claim or for which you can draw, or you can think, or you can imagine, okay, this invention will look like this, right? So this is my tip. What you can do is you can keep a paper and pen by your side while reading the claim, while reading the independent claim, and you can just keep by word you go, like if someone is saying, okay, in the preamble it says an apparatus for writing, right? So apparatus for writing. So what, first of all, what comes up in your mind? Okay, it's a pen, it might be a pen, or it might be a pencil. So just draw that, okay? Then next move to the second point. Then what you do, then you see, okay, the pencil or the writing device has the writing apparatus has an eraser attached to it, right? So if the eraser is also attached to it, just draw eraser over that. So this is the tip for reading the claim, for reading the independent claim first, right? So you need to consider that, okay, this is the, like, if you will move step by step, then you can draft your independent claim or dependent claim in a very well behaved manner, I would say, right? So like, see, the same example I have also taken, the writing apparatus, right? Then it says comprising. So I've just given you the example over here, but yeah, actually the parts of the claim, as Rakesh already told, that it is it has the preamble, it has the body, it has transitional phases, it should follow the antecedent basis, right? So a writing apparatus is the preamble, comprising is the transitional phase, and the rest of it is body of the claim, right? So a writing apparatus, so you just think and draw a writing apparatus in your mind on the paper, right? Then comprising, what all writing apparatus comprises? A pencil having an elongated structure, including two ends and a center between the ends, right? So you have a picture in your mind that, okay, this is the kind of apparatus it would be, that it is an elongated structure with two ends and a body in between, right? So you have the at least you have that picture in your mind that, okay, I'll draw a pencil, right? An eraser attached at one end of the pencil, a light attached to the center of the pencil, right? So these are the components, and in this way, if you think and work, you'll be able to draft a very good claim. I am like what my experience says. So according to the all element rule, a competitor infringes the claim if it produces a writing device that has all of the. Now, if we talk about first, let us talk about that. Okay, this is the way we need to draft the invention. Like if you, in the same manner, if we'll talk about my earlier example, that mobile phone with the pop-up camera, right? So what, like, I'm not exactly going to tell you that exact claims what would be, but you try to do it on your own. Like if you'll try to write an independent claim for the mobile phone with the pop-up camera, so what all things you will include? So if we talk about the preamble, you can write communication device, you can say, or a connecting device, you can say, or anything you can say. You can come up with the kinds of words. See, try to search for the synonyms, or try to search for the synonyms, because see, This actually helps you protect your patent from getting infringed. And in what manner? Like in the below example, in the the para below, I have mentioned that according to the all elements rule, a competitor means the same company which is actually making the same product on which you are working, or you want patent protection. So a competitor infringes the claim if it produces a writing device that has all of a pencil with an elongated. So if you want to check on the novelty of the invention, you will have to match each and every word of that, right? Like the prior art that you have got, you need to check your. Yes.
Hello. Sorry.
Yes.
You can continue, ma'am.
You're not audible. I can't hear you, Hussein.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry, we can see your slides now. We're not seeing your various points earlier, but we can see them now. So thank you. You can continue.
Are you able to see the slides now?
Yes, we can see them now. Yes.
Okay. So you can consider this example that, okay, you need to define your invention first. Then what you need to do, you need to think, okay, what invention should I frame? And this is my suggestion that you should consider the drafting your claim according to the invention. Right? If we talk about the pencil, just if we talk about the chair, right? Chair, if I want to draft the claim for the chair, a novel chair I have developed. So what I can do is, of course, I can move with the base of the chair, like I should consider 4 legs of the chair, then a seating portion, then the back supporting portion, right? Or I can go on the either side that, okay, there's a back supporting portion or there's a base which is connected with the 4 legs. So it is up to you, but you have to take your invention in a manner that, okay, it should go from inner to outer side, or from outer to inner, or from top to bottom, or bottom to top. This nobody will going to tell you specifically that, okay, these things with the practical experience I'm saying that if you want to define the claim, or you want to write the independent claim, you should take the invention in the inner to outer way or outer to inner way if it's a device, or if you are defining a method, then you need to put each and every step sequentially that, okay, first step, this I'll do, then the second step in this I'll do. So you need to consider these things while drafting the claims. Then the main points that you need to consider are the patent claim is traditionally written as a single sentence and in the present tense. So these things you need to keep in mind, that whenever you are trying to draft a patent claim, it should be in present tense, right? Each claim begins with the capital letter and ends with a period. Usually semicolons are used to separate clauses and phrases. You can use a semicolon and then you can continue with the other point. Although patent claim is a single sentence, it is consequently usually a heavily punctuated single sentence, right? Because everybody would have seen in the same example, if you see, there's a comma, there's a semicolon, there's a colon, right? So in this manner, the claim punctuations are used. First of all, the patent claim is generally in 3 parts. Already told you, there's a preamble. Preamble is an introductory phase. For example, the invention may be an apparatus, it can be an article, it can be a composition, it can be a compound, device, system, method, or a process, right? So out of these, you need to define, okay, in which category my invention actually falls. If we talk about the pencil, So it falls under the apparatus. If we talk about the mobile phone, it falls under the device. If we talk about some pharmaceutical composition, then it falls under composition. If we are exactly claiming one molecule, then it falls under compound. So actually people don't have that clarity under which domain my invention will fall, or what should I write for my invention. Whether I should write a composition, whether I should write it as a system, whether I should write it as a device or an apparatus. First of all, I would like to clearly tell you that what we consider is, like everywhere it's considered, if your invention is not having an electronic component, then it's always an apparatus. And if it has some electronic component connected to it, then it would be a device. And the composition and compound are actually, I guess they're clear to you that what should come in composition and compound. Compound is a single molecule of chemistry or pharma, if you are claiming, and the composition is a blend of different compounds, right? I hope that the preamble portion is clear to you all. If we talk about the example, a patent applicant has invented a rice cooker, right? Since an object of this invention is to cook rice, the preamble and title might read an apparatus for cooking rice. So there might be some technical like electronic component involved in it, or there might not be. So we can't comment that, okay, cooking rice, this is a rice cooker. So it can be like it is an apparatus or a device. You can take the call depending on the invention. An apparatus for cooking grains. So you just need to find out that what broader preamble you can keep. Broader in the sense that, okay, and first of all, the preamble or the title should be in, like they should be consistent to each other. Like the preamble of the invention, the claim should be consistent with the title of the invention, and the title and the preamble should cover your complete invention. If we talk about the example over here, an apparatus for cooking rice. So for cooking rice, the person might have developed the invention, an apparatus or a cooker, right? So he has, despite of writing a rice cooker, he has written an apparatus for cooking rice. So as Hussein was asking me that, okay, ma'am, is this the like the claim language can be directly written? Yes, you can. But you need to keep in mind that you should use apparatus, device, these terms, like earlier I suggested, these terms you should use while framing your title or the preamble of the claim. So these are some of the examples in which your invention would fall. Next, if we talk about are the transitional phrases. I'm only focusing on these specific portions because if we talk about the other things, you will get confused. First, you should be clear on the first primary parts or the things that you should keep in mind while framing your independent or dependent claim. There are two types of transitional phrases, open-ended and closed. For example, open-ended include words such as comprising, including, containing, characterized by. These terms have been construed or interpreted to mean including the following elements but not excluding others, right? Comprising means that, okay, this invention comprises of this, right? A comprises of B, but it doesn't mean that A doesn't comprise of C, right? But if we talk about consisting, then consist specifically means that, yes, it's a close-ended term. That consist means that, okay, this invention only consists of, like A only consists of B, A doesn't consist of C. So every time whenever you are drafting your claim, you should keep in mind that you should use open-ended phrases despite of using close-ended phrases. Open-ended phrases will help you restrict or just keep the broad aspect of your invention, not restrict your invention, right? If we talk about the example, an apparatus comprising a pencil, so you can see an apparatus comprising is written over there, right? A pencil having an elongated structure including two ends and a center between the ends. An eraser attached to one end of the pencil and a light attached to the center of the pencil. In this claim, by using the open-ended phrase comprising, we have expanded scope and to allow for other elements for limitations. Like in this manner, what you can do is you can actually allow to keep other phrases also, like a light also is there, right? So you not only restrict your invention to specific points or items or components, you have a broader aspect over it. Closed phrases means consisting of. It will limit your claim to nothing more than the specifically cited elements. Like, okay, what all elements, if you, for example, if a person, instead of light, he says that, okay, my invention is consisting of some LED bulb. So his invention will be new because you have written that, okay, my invention consists of a light, right? But if somebody else uses some other word, then he will get the grant. He will get the patent, right? Body of the claim. Then third thing is body of the claim. The body of the claim is the portion that follows the transitional phrase. Now you have written the preamble, right? Preamble should be consistent with the title of the invention or the details of the invention with the each and every component and the functioning of that, right? Second thing what you need to keep in mind is the transitional phrase, like what all transitional phrases you can use, like comprising, consisting, right? Third thing is the body of the claim. The body of the claim is a portion that follows the transitional phrase. Like after writing the transitional phrase, what you write is the body of the claim. Example, you talk about the body of an apparatus claim covering a table might read an apparatus for holding items. So an apparatus for holding item is preamble. And you can see it's quite broader. Like you are just reading, by just reading the preamble, you cannot figure out that, okay, the apparatus for holding items. It has been a broader aspect of the claim drafting. And then it comprises at least one leg and a top configured to be supported by at least one leg. So the claim drafting, if you will see in these examples, they are not clearly writing that table. They can write table, right? But they are actually claiming a table with some different features or the novel features. So they are mentioning that, okay, it is at least one leg. So these are also the terms which are used, like at least one leg. So it will not restrict your invention only to one leg, right? If you mention that my table, it will have 4 legs. So if you write directly over here that my this apparatus for holding items, it has 4 legs. So if a person develops a 5-leg table also, he can claim. He can infringe your patent easily, right? So you should be very clear while drafting your claim, specifically the independent claim, that the apparatus for holding items, what you are claiming, at least it has one leg. At least it has one leg, but yes, it can have many also, right? A top configured to be supported by at least one leg, like there's a top, right? Top of the table. The body resides the 2 elements, at least one leg and a top. So these 2 things you're claiming. So you have a table in your mind, but see what claim drafting is actually. Claim drafting is just the juggling of the words, the English words, right? And which are actually permissible. So you need to keep in mind that I already told you that the words that you can consider. See here also you have written table, you could have written the table directly or some platform, but you have written an apparatus for holding items, right? So in this way you need to think and you need to draft your claim. If we talk about the next thing, that is the proper antecedent basis. Now, what is antecedent basis means? The elements in a patent claim must demonstrate the correct antecedent basis. What does this antecedent basis means? This means that an element is introduced with the indefinite article a or an on its first use. Like it's a simple English language if we talk about. whenever we first time introduce a word or a component or a thing or a noun, we put an in front of that, right? A pencil, a light, a device. On the other hand, if we just go to the dependent claim, or on the second time we are introducing the same word or the noun, then we need to define it with an article, that is the. Or many people, many claims you might see that said is written, S-A-I-D, said. So you can write both the things, said also and the also. Both are correct. So a device comprising a pencil, because a pencil, this is the first time you are introducing a light attached to the pencil. Now, if you see the second time when the pencil is written, they have written the pencil. They have not written a pencil, right? So these things, the proper antecedent basis should be followed, and you should keep in mind about the basis of this. If we talk about the dependent claim, the device recited in claim 1, wherein the light is detachably attached to the pencil. So again, if you will see in the dependent claim, when the light and the pencil words are introduced, they are saying that it is the light and the pencil. They are not saying a light or a pencil, right? If we talk about the third claim also, wherein the pencil is red in color. So the pencil they are saying, they're not saying a pencil. So you need to keep in mind the antecedent basis while writing the components in the claims, in the dependent and independent claims. Then the other thing what you should consider is, if you are considering a device or an apparatus or the invention which has different numbers of components, so you need to keep in mind that you have to label your components. If we talk about the earlier example, a device, a pencil, a light. So what you need to do is you need to mark a pencil, and in the parenthesis after a pencil, you need to write the number 1 or number 2, number 3, depending on the sequence of the components or in which manner you arrange these components. So a pencil, in the bracket, you should have written number 1. Like this is the first component you're talking about in your claims. Then the second, a light attached to the pencil. Again, you need to mention the number of the second component, that is a light. So now if you'll ask me that, okay, ma'am, should we write like the numbers in front of each and every component if it's not even a very big component of my invention? Then no, you don't have to write. You can consider the main components of the invention and you can just give them the numbering. So a pencil, yes, you can write first number in front of the pencil in a parenthesis. Always remember, you need to put the parenthesis. Second, a light attached to the pencil. So you need a light, and in the bracket, you need to mention number 2 in the bracket. So, and you should follow a sequence. Here also, if you see, there's an example. Thus, if figure 1 of a pattern application shows a computer memory, and this computer memory is labeled 1, 2, 3. For example, any reference to this particular computer memory element in the claims will be followed by the reference numeral in the bracket. That's why it is kept in double quotes, 1, 2, 3. So these are the specific and basic points. Nobody is going to tell you about these while drafting, that okay, you need to keep in mind these pointers as well. So today I have considered the specific points that you need to consider while drafting your patent application, while drafting your claim specifically. Is there any other doubt? I can personally tell or give an example also if anybody wants to connect with me. Then there's not an issue. You can connect with me anytime if you have some doubt for more further details.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I think, we understand everything you say, and We'll also be asking our mentees to ask any live question they have, so we'll also be answering them. Before we move to the question and answer session, I think we'll be taking a picture, a group picture of our meeting, so that we'll be able to post on our social media, tagging our mentors and saying a thing or two that we've learned from today's session. So I advise everybody to put on their videos, so I'll take a screenshot of our meeting today. Thank you very much if you do so. You can see your video on testimony. Okay. I think Rakesh. Is Rakesh still with us? Okay, I can't see Rakesh. I will be taking the pictures now. Kindly put on a smile. Okay, I got it. So we'll be moving to the live question session right now. So I don't know, testimony, if you have any live question for our mentor for today, you can ask before I ask the question you sent in earlier. But I think the question you sent in earlier, Miss Sonia, was saying something about it during her presentation also. So if you have any live question and any other mentees in the meeting, you can raise your hand and I'll call you to ask your question. I think Ms. Juliana too, I think if you have any question, if you have any clarification you need from our mentors, you can also ask. Okay.
No, I don't
I'm not
have a question.
Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, so I believe we all understood our both mentors today. So I'll just go ahead and ask the only question that I received before the session. I'll also be posting the question on the chat box. I think Ms. Sonia was talking something about it, but I still need her to answer the question broadly so that we all know the answer. So our mentees are asking that in claim drafting, is it totally possible to avoid confusing language? I don't know, Ms. Sonia, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's the question. That's the only question for today. In claim drafting, is it possible to avoid confusing language?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
You can avoid. I already answered that yes, you can avoid. You just need to mention the technical features of your invention. For example, I gave you the example of that pencil with an eraser or the mobile phone with a pop-up camera, right? So if you can see in those claims, the example that we have already shared, you can clearly see that those are not actually confusing. They have clearly mentioned that okay, there's an apparatus for writing or for whatever you say, whatever invention you can consider. So that is not at all confusing. You just need to keep in mind the three aspects that I already told you, that you need to mention it as an apparatus or a device, and then you need to write the transitional phrase, then you need to write the body of it. So it is actually not confusing. You need to mention the features of your invention along with the functioning of the invention. You can't leave that like vague terms you can't use. That yes, there's a pencil. You should actually mention that okay, what is that pencil doing? What is that light doing? And where it is actually located in that device. So these points, if you'll consider, then it will not seem to be confusing. Yes, it will of course require some practice. You need to practice while for drafting the claims, because these are the main components of the patent, right? So, but you can easily draft them if you consider these things that we have already told you today. That keep in mind original phases, keep in mind the antecedent phases, the components, the arrangement of it. Like I already told you, need to consider your arrangement of the invention from inner to outer side, or from outer to inner, or top to bottom, or bottom to top. If you can draw pictures in the same manner and draft your application and claims, they are going to be correct.
Okay, ma'am. I think your voice was cracking at the end, but we heard you, and thank you for the answer. So quickly before the end of the program, I will be calling on Ms. Juliana to give us the vote of thanks for today before we end the program. I think Mr. Rakesh has left us, so we just have one mentor with us to the end of the program. Ms. Juliana, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. So thank you very much, Sonia, for today. We've actually learned a lot listening to you about drafting claims, and we're very excited that you've left a window open for us to always reach out to you if we have questions on patent drafting or claim drafting. We also want to say a very big thank you to Rakesh also, who has been with us from the first week. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing knowledge. And to the mentees, thank you also for being here. Thank you, Testimony, and I'm someone else who was here earlier. I think Chidogo. Thank you so much. And thank you, Hussein, for moderating the session. Patent drafting is very essential in our day now, considering the fact that people are moving from the traditional means of getting wealth to intellectual property, which is the new gold. So I encourage everyone to please go back, listen to this video again, and try practicing what you've learned, because if you don't practice it, then you might not really know the pain points and where to ask your questions. So with that, we've come to the end of the session today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we hope that you have an amazing weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Testimony. Thank you, Hussein. Bye.
Bye-bye.